2005 Porsche 911 GT3 Touring manual transmission with launch control. Oh my God, this rips. This is so ridiculously fast, and I'm driving in these mountain roads, and this is incredible out here. Holy wow. And we still do have flat foot shifting. Oh man. So let's get to the horsepower and torque. 502 horsepower, 331 pound-feet of torque from a 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6-cylinder. And you're probably wondering why we have the same horsepower. I will get to that a little bit later. But first, I do want to mention how surreal it is to be in Spain, just outside Valencia, country I've never been to. Absolutely beautiful. I will be driving the GT3 with a wing on the racetrack a little bit later, as you guys will see a little bit of footage right now. But I'm going to spend most of my time with the GT3 Touring with the manual transmission because that is the sweet spot in my opinion. And driving it out here on these mountain roads is amazing. It is absolutely surreal to be in the presence of such YouTube royalty. There's basically every channel. It's cool to hang out with everybody, seeing everyone in one spot. There's a lot of cool channels out here. I'm sure many of them you guys are already subscribed to. And if you're not subscribed to us, just give us this little subscription right now. And I'll give you a 9,000 RPM red line. Okay, so let's get to the engine. Here's the thing with the engine. Same horsepower as the outgoing one, although they did make some changes. We have updated camshafts, and you know how much I loved my cammed cars, my cammed V8s. I'll take a cammed 6-cylinder as well. Oh, straight away. Flat foot shifting. Oh man. Okay, so we got GT3 RS camshafts, so you'd think that, you know, that would add power, and it would. However, we also have a updated intake system. We have an updated oil cooler as well. And we have updated individual throttle bodies that now flow better. Now you're probably wondering, Jacob, all those things sound like they should add up to more power and not 15 less torques than the outgoing model. And I would agree with you. However, I've got the answer. And that, unfortunately, is European regulations, or I guess global regulations. And what they have to do now to combat those regulations and still have a high revving naturally aspirated 6-cylinder is they had to add 2 more cats. And so this thing now has 4 cats and a gas particulate filter. Now the good news, not for you Europeans unfortunately, I have verified that for North America, we won't be getting the gas particulate filter, but we will be getting the 4 cats. So at least the North American versions should sound even better. And I'll be honest, this sounds really good. It has a slightly different tone than the outgoing one, I think. It seems like it's a little bit deeper, but it could just be that I'm driving the European version with the gas particulate filter. But it still sounds fantastic. And when these things are ripping by you on the racetrack, not even something you consider, oh, does that thing have 4 cats and a gas particulate filter? That is not a question that you're asking. I will 100% verify that. Okay, so let's get to some of the major changes with this. With the GT3 winged car, we now have a VISEC package available, which was previously only available on the RS models. And we now have an equivalent version for the Touring. And it's called the lightweight package, or let me just read this right here. Leichtbau or Leichtbau. Please excuse me for pronouncing German while I'm in Spain, and my goodness, this place is gorgeous. Look at these mountains. What even is this? Holy crap, what a beautiful country. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to look around and see all this stuff. Oh my, look at this. I'm so glad I've got a forward-facing camera right now that hopefully you guys can see at least some of what I'm seeing. Wow. Oh, I'm kind of blown away by all this. Okay, so they changed the seats as well. Not part of the lightweight package. We now have foldable carbon bucket seats. And that is because we have optional back seats for the Touring, because Porsche listened to their customers and the customers wanted that. The aftermarket even took care of that as well. And so Porsche is now offering that from the factory. So you can actually put a child seat in there, and that's the reason why Yuri's not here, is because he just had a child and he didn't want to travel. So I took one for the team. I am jet lagged AF, but here I am. So you can put a car seat back there and enjoy it with your family, which is pretty special. I definitely recommend doing that. If you're gonna get the Touring, get the back seats for sure. Now this one doesn't have that option. That's fine. You get to see both. But these carbon buckets are so much better than the outgoing carbon buckets because they changed the design of them. Like, yes, they do fold forward now, but the actual getting in and out part now seems to be kind of more of a V rather than a U. So it's like, rather than having a straight edge, it's a little bit more graceful and easier to get in and out. And they are very, very comfortable. Much more comfortable than the outgoing one. And they got a little party trick. This little thing can come right out, and you just put your finger back there. I'm not gonna do it while I'm driving. And I did that on the racetrack with a bucket on, and it made a really big difference because your head isn't pushed forward when you're wearing a helmet. So it's all these little changes in this generation of refresh of the 992.2 that really add up to quite a big difference overall in the overall experience. So the next thing that they changed, 8% shorter gear ratio for the manual and for the PDK. Now that's what really helps bring the power out of this thing, because it does feel faster, or at least just as fast as the outgoing one, even though they had to comply with all the regulations, and it's down 15 torques. So this gear ratio is straight out of the 911 ST. So that's a lot of the types of things that they did with the new 992.2 is take parts from the 911 ST and the previous GT3 RS. So some more things that they took from the GT3, or at least the idea of that, is they retuned the dampers. And this suspension is really, really comfortable. I know some people complained about the previous one, and Porsche listened, and so they took that kind of ST philosophy and they completely retuned them while using the same physical damper. So it was more of a software upgrade than it was a mechanical upgrade. But they did also change the bump stop. They made it a little bit shorter. And you can also change the adaptive settings. So I've got it in sport mode right now. There's also track mode. But out here on these perfect Spanish roads, I know you guys had some floods, but it looks like a lot of the country has already recovered. But these roads that haven't been affected up in the mountains are absolutely incredible. So I can't really say because I haven't gone over any really bad pavement, but I can tell you that this thing handles really well, especially out here. And here's an example of the roads being completely washed out, where I have to take a detour because the bridge kind of doesn't exist anymore, and they had to put in a temporary bridge. These floods must have been absolutely wild. Wow. Next biggest thing, the steering. Now you might think, how do they keep improving the steering? Because I thought the same thing when I read the press release. It made a big difference. So they, again, recalibrated the steering through software, and there's definitely more feel in it now. It almost feels like good old hydraulic steering, because you can kind of feel everything. There's a lot of feedback through the wheel, and the right when you're turning from on center, there's no dead spot or anything like that. It responds exactly how you want it. And there was a little divot in the road right there where I felt the steering wheel kind of hug that. So you're getting a lot of nice feedback on this. Oh my goodness. Absolutely incredible driving this thing out here. And a lot of the major changes with this lightweight package, with the Visec package, and generally the new GT3 was focused on aerodynamics. And so they changed the end plates on the wing to apparently help with a little bit more downforce. And then the rear bumper, as well as the front bumpers, have been completely changed on both of them. But I like this aggression as well, because we don't have a big wing, so they kind of, they got to give you something. And speaking of the wing, we do still have the wing that pops open. Doesn't look the best like it did in the previous one. And Porsche knew that, so they did make some changes, and now because of the little gurney flap that they added, the wing doesn't have to open at lower speeds anymore, so you get a better look for more of the time. And you can also press a button in here to change the spoiler extended, and you can have it down more often. So that's pretty nice of them to do that. And if we go into the infotainment, we press the little car button. We do have some drive modes on our steering wheel as well. So we got normal, sport, and track, and I will get to the tachometer in a second. So we've got auto blip that automatically turns on in sport and track, and if we put it back into normal, all that kind of stuff turns off. We have the sport exhaust system that opens some valves, but we don't have the lightweight flywheel that we got from the 911 ST. We still have a regular flywheel, but the revs do climb pretty quickly as well as fall pretty quickly, so it's not like it's that heavy of a flywheel. So let's talk about this tach now. I know the internet was up in arms. I was furious that they got rid of my analog tach, but I'm gonna tell you guys, after driving this thing with this digital tach, I'm okay with it. I would like the previous analog tach, but having the ability to clock the tach to have 9,000 right at the top, so it does that in sport and track mode. You can also customize that yourself. It is really beneficial on track. On the road, not so much, but it's cool to have that customization. Now, we still do have a regular analog clock, which is great, the chrono, the sport chrono up there. And I forgot to wear my watch to Europe when I traveled here, so Porsche gracefully allowed me to borrow this watch, which they are selling with this car, and you can match it to your exact spec. So this watch is actually matched to this spec of car. So it's oak green metallic, it's got like a nice bezel on it. The automatic movement has the same wheel that I have on this actual car, and the stitching on my band matches the stitching on the seats. Pretty cool of Porsche to do that kind of stuff. I don't know if I would get something like that, but it's nice to have that option for the people that can afford this, because this is a very expensive vehicle. And I will get to that later, because it's more expensive than the outgoing one by a significant amount. And as for the rest of the interior, largely the same as the outgoing one. No real noticeable difference for me. We still have physical buttons for the climate. We still have a cup holder over here. So we still have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that fun stuff. One cool thing that they added to the digital gauge cluster now is that we have our tire temperature and tire pressure, so you can see all that stuff. That was previously like an RS only thing. And the suspension is so comfortable that when they initially were thinking about doing the GT3 and the GT3 Touring, which they've never launched at the exact same time before, they thought about making the Touring more comfortable and more compliant than the winged version, but they managed to make it so compliant that the winged car has the exact same suspension as the Touring, because they're both really, really comfortable. And I have driven the winged car on some of these roads as well, and it feels basically the same. And I did drive it with the PDK as well, and that thing is, I love the manual, absolutely love the manual. If you can, definitely get it. But the PDK is just cheater mode. It is so quick, like lightning fast shifts, as you'll see on the racetrack a little bit later in the video. And we do have rear axle steering as well. And while I'm looking at the rear axle, I want to talk about the wheels. So for the first time, Porsche has made the magnesium wheels an option on non-RS models. And so if you get the Weissach or the Leichtbau package, you can get those. And you can tell that those are directly from the 911 ST, which is pretty cool. And then they also have the regular base wheels that are lighter than the outgoing regular wheels. And you can see that the wheels have these little kind of cutout scallops, whereas the previous one, it was like cut out a little bit, but not to the point that you could see through them. Now you can see through them. So it's just a little bit of a design tweak. Overall, the design between the magnesium ones and the base ones are very, very similar. If you didn't know Porsches and you didn't know all the little details, you'd think that they were probably the same wheel. And you can get gold and you can get silver. I'm currently driving the silver. All of them look really good. This spec with this oak green metallic, this is great. I know my boy Lucas Scarfoni, he's got a green one that he absolutely loves, a little bit of different green, and I'm sure he'd want those back seats for having his kid with his super high mileage GT3 Touring. And the Continental recommended tire would be the Extreme Contact Sport 02. And with the lightweight package or the Weissach package, you also get a lot of carbon fiber components. So this one gets a carbon fiber roof, although it's not visible. The winged car gets a visible one where you can see carbon fiber stripe going through it. And then you also get carbon fiber reinforced plastic suspension components, which is pretty crazy that you can make suspension components that stiff out of carbon fiber that you don't have to use aluminum or steel. So that, all of that kind of stuff helped Porsche get the weight down on this model, because having to add 2 cats and having to comply with regulations and make the chassis a little bit stiffer and all the things that they had to add weight to, they actually ended up with basically the same weight as the outgoing car. So it's literally within a few cheeseburgers of the outgoing model, which is, in this day and age, very impressive for a manufacturer to do. Miata aside, I think they've been doing that for a long time, but Porsche's got the same philosophy. And one fun difference with this interior versus the regular 992.2s is that we don't have a push to start button, we have a fake key. So it kind of gives you that old school vibe of, yeah, I still got a key. And then one thing that's also new versus the other models is that we have an assist button, and that is to turn off all your assists, which is awesome to have that button, because in Europe they have got all these regulations for the speed sensors, the parking sensor, like all the things that you want off, lane keep assist and all that. So it's cool that they made that really easy to turn off. And North America is also getting that same button as well. And if you did want to check your oil level, there is no dipstick. And the TotalEnergies recommended oil would be the Quartz Ineo FGO 5W40. And I should mention that this is the 25th anniversary of the 911 GT3. So Porsche brought out their entire museum of GT3s, starting with the 996. It's really cool to see all the little incremental differences and upgrades between all the model years. The horsepower bump wasn't significant per year. There were some years where it was a little bit more. And I believe that from the 992.1 to the 992.2, which is this one, I think that's the first time that there was no horsepower bump because of regulations, which, you know, kind of sucks, but it doesn't feel like you're missing out because of the shorter gear ratio. So it's a little bit of trickery going on. And if you do get this Leichtbau package, the actual physical shifter for the manual transmission is shorter, and I believe that's borrowed from the 911 ST as well. So more things from the 911 ST, which was a much more expensive model. We should get to the price, but before we get to the price, let's send myself over to the racetrack in the winged car. Saving the best for last. GT3 on the track. I got a big old wing. I got the Weissach package, and I am driving on the Circuit Ricardo Tormo. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Sorry, everything is a little kind of crazy right now. I'm in a different country. Everyone's speaking Spanish. And I'm trying to comprehend this racetrack and this car out here, but man, this PDK shifts so fast. You do notice the shortened gear ratio. Oh my God, what a nice track. This car is just cheater mode. This center tack, I really like it. Now, I know it's the digital speedo. Honestly, on track, I got nothing to complain about the digital speedo. On the street, yeah, the analog one would be nice, but out here, having everything flash and let you know when to shift, and the fact that you can clock it. So right now I've actually got it clocked for the center position at 9,000 right at the top. Let's go, top speed, baby. 185, 200, 220, 230, holy F. Man, when you read the press release, you kind of expect this thing to be pretty similar to the last one, and it largely is, but man, all those little changes, oh my God, what a great car. It does add up to a pretty significant overall change, I would say, from the last one. What a great track, what a cool country. Man, this car is just cheater mode. 911s and GT3s especially are just insane to drive on track. If you ever have a chance like this, take it. And if you have the chance to buy one of these things, buy one. Because if you're ever gonna hit up a track day, man, this is just the easiest way to go fast without worrying about anything. Just incredible. Shifts so crisp, so nice. Oh, the brakes are perfect. These carbon ceramics, this lightweight package, well, Visek package. Lightweight's on the Touring. Incredible car. Oh, the elevation changes, like there's not many, but this is a famous MotoGP track, which has a lot of late apexes. Oh, you just gotta wait for it. Back straight, I guess front straight, sorry. 235, 236, yeah. I could go a little faster, but I'm not going to. Oh, yeah. The turn and the steering, everything is perfect. Like, they were talking about the improvements that they made to the steering for on-center feel, and yeah, this definitely has better feel. Oh my, like, I can feel all those bumps when I'm hitting all these apexes. You can feel the apron right through the steering wheel. It's almost like you get good old-fashioned hydraulic steering back. Man, they just do these little improvements generation after generation, and it always adds up to just a better car overall. It's kind of crazy to say that if there's anything to buy this car for over the last one, the seats are a big thing. And then I've got a funny, I guess, stat or information about the roll cage. So we do have a carbon fiber roll cage. I am driving the European one, obviously, in Europe. So I've got this carbon fiber roll cage right behind me, and it's actually taking up quite a bit of my rear view mirror. North America is not getting it. I have confirmed that. And it's just because of regulations, which is what I expected. But I found out that if you wanted to buy this roll cage from a Porsche dealer, if you got the Visek package, because it's not going to come with it, all the provisions to bolt it in are there, so you could definitely do that. All right, I'm going to take this thing into the pits, chill, because man, I'm just going to keep driving all day. This is an incredible car. What a treat! Wow. Now that we're back on the road, I thoroughly enjoyed myself on the racetrack in the GT3. I hope you guys enjoyed watching that. Canada? What is that? Spanish people, let me know in the comments. So let's get to the price. This one starts at $245,300 Canadian. The outgoing one was $204,500, and in US dollars, $222,500 for the current one, and $184,550 for the outgoing one. So $40,000 difference. Now Porsche has been increasing the price of all of their models, but 40 grand over the outgoing one is a lot. You can't argue with that. Is there $40,000 worth of value in this? It's hard to say. I have a theory as to why this is $40,000 more. Plenty of people have been paying over sticker, clamoring at trying to get a allocation for these things. And I think Porsche saw that and was like, you know what? We're gonna get some of that money instead of the dealers or the flippers. And I can't fault Porsche for doing that. If this is the reason, it's because people have been paying over sticker. So you can really only blame the people that were paying over sticker. Now, if that's not the reason, there are a lot of things that come from ST models, RS models, and all of the incremental changes do add up to a better car. So I also have to admit that. This is a better car than the last one. But if you have the last one, is it worth the upgrade? I'm not really sure. The last one was already incredible. But if you have a 991 or something like that, then yeah, maybe you should be shopping for one of these things. Check out tsp.truecar.com for any of the 911 GT3s that you might be interested in. There's many different generations, 25 years of them to be exact. So let me know what you think of the new 911 GT3 and GT3 Touring. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I did my best. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, a little bit jet lagged, and doing this all on my own. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. And Yuri's filming his own video as well, so you guys will see that one as well. Speed bumps. Feel pretty comfortable. Oh yeah. Oh, and we do have nose lift as well. As an option, of course.